Recent research reveals that government expenditure on education is not distributed evenly across all sectors. Over the past decade, funding for vocational education and training, VET, has decreased by 4% compared to 2005 levels, while spending on higher education has risen by 45%. Similarly, funding for schools has increased by over 23% in the same period, and spending on preschool education has seen a substantial rise of 125%, albeit starting from a significantly lower base in 2005. Change in education expenditure, real terms, over the last 10 years. Although it is understood that each stage of education may not require equal levels of funding, it is essential that all sectors receive adequate attention during policy reforms. This approach ensures that financial resources are allocated to areas where they will have the most beneficial impact. By international standards, Australia's education system boasts several commendable features. Nearly all 4-year-old children are now enrolled in preschool. The country consistently performs above the OECD average in international school assessments, and many of Australia's universities and training institutions rank among the best globally. However, when evaluating domestic performance over time, questions arise regarding whether financial resources are being targeted effectively. VET funding decline. The decreasing expenditure on vocational education and training, VET, is particularly concerning, as it signals a diminishing emphasis on quality vocational education. The most recent data, from 2014-15, indicates a 4% reduction in VET funding compared to 2005 levels. Additionally, VET enrolments have decreased by more than 10% over the past decade. This downward trend in both spending and enrolments cannot be ignored. Mismanagement of the VET fee help program, with certain providers enrolling students inappropriately and charging excessive fees, has damaged the reputation of VET and, as a result, many students opt for higher education when possible. Further cuts in VET funding are anticipated following the expiration of the National Partnership Agreement on Skills Reform in June 2017, which has already contributed $1.75 billion Australian dollars in Commonwealth funding aimed at VET reform. Key employment sectors, including aged care, early childhood education, and hospitality, rely heavily on vocational training to supply a skilled workforce. Projections indicate that over 400,000 additional workers with vocational qualifications will be required by 2020. In light of the decline in manufacturing employment, it is crucial that the system is overhauled to train workers for the growing service and care industries. The growth of university funding. In stark contrast to VET, spending on higher education has seen substantial growth, increasing by 45% from 2005 to 2015. Research funding accounts for a portion of this increase. 1.81 billion Australian dollars was allocated to direct research funding in 2016. However, it is evident that governments have prioritised university education over vocational training. Future labour market projections suggest a need to reassess this imbalance. There are growing concerns about the oversupply of graduates in fields such as science and information technology, where job prospects are limited. A more balanced approach is required within the tertiary education sector to ensure that students are prepared for careers with better employment outcomes. School funding and its effectiveness. Expenditure on schools has increased by 24% over the past decade, partly due to growth in student enrolments. However, there has been little significant improvement in Australia's education system as a whole. International performance rankings have declined during this period, indicating that the increased funding has not always been allocated effectively. It is essential that funding is directed to areas where it will have the greatest impact. This may involve prioritising schools with the greatest needs, funding evidence-based programs, and investing in the professional development of teachers. These measures could lead to substantial improvements in educational outcomes. Progress in early childhood education. For the first time, preschool education has been included in an overview of education expenditure. Unsurprisingly, Funding for preschool education has increased significantly following the National Partnership Agreement on Universal Access to Early Childhood Education in 2009. This initiative has led to near universal preschool enrollment for 4-year-olds. However, research indicates that 1 in 3 children do not attend preschool for the necessary number of hours to make a meaningful impact on their development. Moreover, children from disadvantaged communities often have limited access to high-quality services. There is also evidence suggesting the benefits of introducing an additional year of preschool for 3-year-olds, in line with practices in other OECD countries. The increase in preschool enrollments, by more than 145,000 children since 2006, demonstrates a strong commitment by policymakers to the importance of early childhood education. Nevertheless, further improvements in the quality of preschool education could have a profound effect on children's long-term educational outcomes.